Good peoples, Shawn Tubbs here. Welcome to my studio. I've got another Stomp box to show you. This one is made by the Big Joe Stomp Box Company. It's called the Empire Overdrive. There it is there. It's beautiful enclosure and layout. It was designed in conjunction with a guy named Paul Allen, who's a guitar player that lives here in Nashville. He's a terrific player, and I think he gave a lot of insight into the design of this box as far as what guitar players are going to be facing in a working environment when they want to, bring a pedal to maybe a fly out or a session, and they may not have their amp. This pedal is going to cover it, but also if you're a player that just has multiple amps, this pedal is really designed to work well at the front end of basically any amp you may have. It's got a lot of controls on it, but it's not overwhelming at all in its layout. It's actually quite simple when you look at it. It's basically two boxes in one, in that it has an A channel and a B channel. Those two channels are slightly different from each other. The A channel is a slightly higher gain channel, and it's got 5 potentiometers or controls. It's got your basic presence control, which is essentially its treble. Drive control, the amount of overdrive. Output is the amount of output, obviously, for that channel. Now the two controls below those are the body and attack controls, and these are really nice. The body control essentially is allowing you to kind of fatten up your single note tone, or if you have an amp that's already really fat and you engage the box and now it's a little too spread out, you're able to kind of change the low mids or the body of the tone to match the amp, which is really nice. The potentiometer next to that, or the control next to it, is called the attack control. That's essentially your pick attack. It's really does what it means. So as you turn that thing up, you're going to hear more of your pick in the overall signal and the way you have it dialed. Once again, if you say you have an amp that's very immediate and has a lot of, maybe a brighter JCM 800, you may find that you want to back that off a little bit to kind of get your desired tone. Or you might be playing an amp that's kind of tired, like say you show up on a gig and it's an old deluxe that really needs new tubes or has a tired speaker in it, and you're wanting your attack to be a little more immediate, then you could roll that knob up, which is really great. There's also a switch on that channel that's called firm and sponge, and essentially it's once again addressing different amp situations. In the firm setting, it's going to be much more articulate and quick in its upper end presence. In the spongy setting, it's going to be a little bit softer and a little bit less immediate. So that's the A side. Now on the B side, that one's got 3 potentiometers. It's gain, output, and tone. So it's laid out a little more simply. It's the lower gain side of the channel, and it also has a firm and sponge setting. So you've got the 2 channels, and you can also choose, you can have either channel on by itself, or you can have both channels on, and you can choose whether A feeds B or B feeds A simply by throwing a switch. Now there is one other feature on this that's really awesome, and it works independently of whether or not the foot switches are engaged, and that's the actual buffer section on it. You can either have it be true bypass or buffered. The nice thing about this feature is with most boxes, if it's buffered, you can't really choose the amount of buffer or even turn the buffer off. It's just kind of a set situation. In this case, if you want to engage the buffer, you can do that whether the pedal's been turned on or off, but you can also roll in the amount of buffering that's at the front end of your amp. And it kind of reminds me of an old trick, and a lot of guys, I guess I shouldn't call it an old trick, a lot of guys still do this. They back in the day, guys like Michael Landau and Steve Lukather would use MXR micro amps, at the front end of their chain to just kind of get the signal to flow through the pedal board quicker, and it would just sound kind of bigger. And this box kind of gives you that, but more in just a straight buffered signal. It's not necessarily adding an amount of gain, it's just the amount of buffering to the input. So if you've got different guitars or that like to see a different input impedance, or even amplifiers for that matter, this really addresses that, excuse me, really addresses that quite well. So yeah, let's check this box out without any further yammering on about it. This is the Big Joe Stomp Box Company Empire Overdrive. Okay, let's get started on this pedal. There's quite a few features to get to. I'm using my PRS Dave Grissom guitar into my divided by 13 FTR 37 amp today. Here is my just straight amp sound. I've got it dialed relatively clean. I want this box to do all the work. I think what I'll start out with is, let's just look at, before we turn on any overdrive on the box, let's just look at the buffer circuit alone. Really nice sounding circuit, and I want to just kind of address that first. So that's a really nice amp tone in between the two pickups. But sometimes it just depends on the gig you're on, or the pedal board you're using, or the stuff you're going through. Sometimes you really need a buffer at the front end. The nice thing about this one is not only can you turn it on or off as desired, but you can actually dial the amount of buffering in. Okay, so here's the buffer. And I'll shut it back off real quick. Here it is back on. So as you can hear, it really just kind of makes everything do this and this, which is exactly what you want a circuit like that to do. Now the nice thing about it is you can dial it in even more. So you can have that be subtle, really subtle, or actually exaggerated, depending on the type of sound you're wanting to get. So in essence, you've actually got a gain stage there that you could use as almost as an effect, or you could choose to have it on all the time. It's really nice for clean stuff, you know, all the kind of Maroon 5-y stuff, like, let me shut it off real quick. Now I'll turn it on, and you'll see it'll just add some shimmer up there. So it's just a really great feature. Let's move on from that. I'm going to start on the B side of the box, and I'll just do back position bridge sounds. So there's the amp sound. And here's the Empire. So nice, natural, open sounding overdrive. And let me just go ahead and roll. I'll roll the gain up. So essentially, like, you could, the way I would use this box is you could have like the B side of the box be kind of your lower gain, like rhythm tones, almost kind of the Malcolm-esque kind of tones. And it works really, really well for that. Now, of course, it does have plenty of gain on tap if you did want to use that as your higher gain side. It's got plenty of gain there, and also keep in mind the amp style is very clean. But essentially, I would keep it kind of dialed back and use it for my rhythm sounds. Let me roll the tone for you really quick. Really usable tone circuit. It's just the right top end. There's no like just one sweet spot. It works really well pretty much wherever it's set. The other thing I haven't addressed is the firm and sponge switch. Right now that switch is in the firm position, so I'll just play it really quick. Now I'll switch it to the sponge setting. Then back to the firm setting. And the reason that's there on both channels is if you have an amp that is less immediate or slightly dark, you've got the option of using that. Obviously in the firm setting it's going to be brighter and more immediate, but in the sponge setting it's going to be darker and a little bit more compressed. Depending on the amp you're using, that's going to be really, really helpful in getting you dialed in. Okay, so that's that channel. Let's move on to channel A. Now this one I would look at more as kind of my solo channel, something I might want to use as just for leads only. So right now I've got it dialed pretty smooth, not super high gain. Let me go ahead and just roll the gain up for now, or in this case it's called the drive setting. It was at about 12 o'clock. We're going to roll it closer to 2 o'clock. I'll roll it up even more. And even more. So really sweet for that. Keep in mind, if you need even more gain, you can combine the two sides of the pedal. But that gives you an idea of how much gain is on tap on the A side of the box. Now let me address quickly, the presence is pretty much standard. I'll roll it all the way to the left and then to the right. So it's exactly what you would think presence would be. It's the kind of the sweeter top end, the stringy kind of top end that you can dial in, which I really appreciate having that on a box, as well as maybe a high-mid type of control. Okay, let's look at the body control. Basically, that is pretty much what it means. It's just going to kind of spread out the overall body of your tone. So what I'll do is, just playing single notes, I'll sweep it from left to right. Here it is at 12 o'clock. It is about 3 o'clock. And then we'll go ahead and dime it. So it really gives you the ability to kind of shape that register within your tones, especially for single note tones. You can kind of get something dialed in for chords, but then when you go to your single note, it's going to sound thinner because you don't have as much happening within the spectrum. It's just a single note as opposed to a whole chord. So that really, really helps out when you're dialing in sounds. Okay, let's look at the attack knob now. Once again, that's what I like about this box. It's very intuitive. The attack knob does exactly what you think it's going to do. It's going to add that kind of pick attack either in or out of your sound. So I'll do the same thing. I'm going to roll it all the way from the left to the right. Here it is at 12 o'clock. Here it is at around 2 o'clock. And now you can really hear that pick. And I'll go ahead and roll it up just a little bit hotter. So that's kind of the tone circuit of that channel, and I really like it. It's really well thought out, super dialable, super musical. And now we'll do the same thing with the firm and sponge switch so that you guys can hear the difference. Right now it's in the firm setting, which would be the brighter setting. I'll switch it to the sponge setting. Go ahead and put it back to the firm setting. So that's once again a really great feature. If you're running into say a brighter amp, like a JCM 900 would be brighter, a JCM 800 would be brighter, and much more immediate, and sometimes you're just wanting a smoother tone to the front end of the amp, that's an excellent feature. I mean, you could literally just throw the switch, and even if it seems a little darker, you've still got tons of dialability in that presence control as well as the attack control to kind of get you wherever you want to be. Now, the last thing I want to address on this pedal just quickly is the fact that you can run both sides on at the same time, and they can either, A can either feed B or B can feed A. Right now I've got it set up with B feeding A. So here's the A channel. Got it set low gain. Now if I want, I can just turn on the A channel. Really great right away. That's a great solo sound, and you've got more or less gain on tap. Just really quick, I'll without touching anything, I'll just throw the switch the other way. So I'll let you hear it with the switch allowing the B side of the pedal to input the A side of the pedal, and then I'll go reverse. Now I'll throw the switch. bridge. So now the A side of the pedal is feeding the B side of the pedal. See, that sounds more articulate and actually less gainy, which makes sense because now you've got the gain side of the box feeding basically what would be more of a push box. So it's just kind of raising the level and making it more articulate, as opposed to if you were going the other way, a push box hitting a gain box, you're going to get a little bit more volume, but what you're going to get mainly is a lot more gain. So once again, awesome to be able to have that choice. And then on top of that, you know, as I addressed early on in the demo, the buffer circuit is fabulous. Now keep in mind, there's a little bit of noise floor there if you're running that much gain with the box stacked, but I wouldn't consider it an extreme amount of noise in any way. So that's pretty much it, man. This is a really good sounding box. If you've got any questions about the product, I'll be sure to put up the proper links so you can get whatever info you may need. But as always, thanks for coming back and checking out the products that I have to show you. And we'll see you in the next installment. Thanks, guys.